Appreciate all of you being here. My name's Ned, and as Raquel said, I'm the CPO here at Hivelocity. Our firm has been around for over 20 years, providing hosting and infrastructure solutions to companies not only in the US, but also globally. We really specialize in bare metal infrastructure, which aligns really well with regulated industries, companies who need a little bit extra data sovereignty and compliance on all of their workloads. Um, and so we try to focus specifically on that. The demo that you're going to see today is going to be built around data sets that really need to be locked down and secure. I want to talk a little bit about our approach because I do believe that it's different than a lot of the infrastructure firms out there on the marketplace. Most infrastructure decisions that you all are going to be looking at or making here in the near future, you're going to be given a budget and you're going to have to work backwards from that budget. And that's how a lot of those typically go. I have done digital product development for a long time. And what we've seen as part of the great cloud migration over the last decade plus is that while these solutions can be very good, depending upon the workload and the type of solutions that you want to deploy on them, the cost has escalated. It's increased dramatically, but not only has the cost increased itself, but it's become less predictable. I can't tell you how many times I would see an application hosting for a client in prior stages of my career, and we would have a successful marketing campaign to use some application, and then we would end up being a victim of that success because our infrastructure costs would spike based on usage and data transfer and ingress, egress, all of the other things that are cost drivers there. And so having that predictability and being able to look at this budget and say, all right, we know that this is what we're paying for our infrastructure, and we know we're going to get high performance out of the solution that we've selected here. It's really a great peace of mind for companies like you all. We really drive the conversation around the outcomes that you want to achieve with an understanding of the types of solutions that you would want to host on our infrastructure. Whatever the workload may be, if it's application specific, if it's application plus data sets and how you want to structure all of those things. If you want to load custom applications that you have internally, if you want to load enterprise applications, you can do that very easily in our infrastructure. We also have our cool app marketplace that allows for a quick install of the applications we have there. I'll show you that as part of the demo, but ultimately we want our clients to know that we understand the applications, the data sets, and the workloads that we want to run. And we just want to make sure that we're providing solutions that are the right size, the right fit based on your performance and data needs, without that cost escalation and that sort of black box, opaque budget line item that can kind of fluctuate over time. Ours stays stable and gives you that predictability that you're looking for. So I'll share my screen here in a second. Before I jump in, just want to point out that this is demo data. You are not seeing actual customer financial information. There's not any real customer information being shared. This is just an example from the perspective of a fintech client that would be like a community bank or a credit union or something of that nature. So when you see it being shared, when you don't have any active SSL certifications for HTTPS or any sort of live production environments running, this is just for demo purposes. So, but when you do have a live production environment on our infrastructure, it would include all of the security measures that you would ever need. So, without further ado, I'll jump right in. Let me share my screen. Okay, so first place you're going to start is our homepage, our primary web page. So you can scroll through it and see all the different product lines and the different services that we have. We, of course, have dedicated, which is bare metal. So those are most secure and usually recommended for regulated industries of any kind. Then we have colo services where you own and manage your own hardware, and we help you with that. And then we have the virtual private servers, which is really just our instance of cloud. So like I said, for today's demo, because we always recommend this for high compliance needs and high regulation industries, we're going to start with dedicated services. The best way to navigate to the dedicated servers, the bare metal, if you will, is to go through our solutions section. So when you hover over solutions, we're going to do this from the perspective of like, let's say a local credit union here in the Tampa area. And so you would click on Fintech. It has a lot of information, just letting you all know that we understand the type of applications that Fintech companies need and the level of security that you're looking for on your server. So we'll just click on the mid-level. So what you would do is you kind of look at the use cases to make sure that they map. You don't necessarily have to know all of the infrastructure details and what's best for your organization. You can look right here at these use cases and kind of map them up to what you're looking for. So let's say we wanted to deploy, configure a server right here. These epics, these AMD epics are pretty strong. You would just click on that. It shows you a list of recommendations based on those use cases. So very easy to just click through to find something that's going to fit your needs based on your knowledge of your app and your data set. And then you have all different types of things that you can do relating to the configuration. Your VP of technology or your CTO can very easily help you navigate all of that. If you wanted to look at the different locations, you can click through this. This one happens to be in Europe, but you would probably want to pick, an edge location, something here in the US. But this is how easy it is. Just click straight through it, add to cart, and then you would be able to execute on this transaction. And as you can see, this one is a 7 minutes plus. So usually that falls in like a 7 to 15 minute timeline. You'll get an email and you'll also get credentials sent to you and instructions on how to set up your MyV access. So MyVelocity, MyV for short, is our client portal, and that's where you can see all of your server stuff. So instead of deploying this and waiting on it to cycle while we sit here and try to create small talk or whatever, I'll just go straight to what an instance would look like. So this is our demo login. This mirrors the client and customer experience. So whenever you get those credentials, you would log in and you would see your server deployed. And if you deployed multiple servers within your account, you can see all of them here. It takes you to your device page. So we'll click on one to show you how you would set this up. You can see everything. You can see that it's live. You can restart it if you needed to for whatever. If you needed to reload your OS, you can do all of that stuff from the panel. It gives you all the information that you need. For this demo, we wanted to really focus on what you can actually do with the infrastructure, the use case, the applications itself. So you would start here from the app menu, and we have this really cool app marketplace that we are expanding and growing right now. So we're constantly adding new applications that you can use. Many of them you can install for free. You might have to get your own license structure once you log into them, but they're all industry standard and very affordable. But this is how easy you add it. So we're going to utilize Metabase. It's an advanced BI tool. It shows you the eligible servers that we would have in our account. Let's go and click through like what it would look like to install it on one. Once again, very simple, very easy. You just click reload and install. You have to understand that your server will be down for a small period while that's reloading. It usually only takes a few minutes, and then you're up and ready to roll. And then what it looks like once it loads in, I'll go to this one I've already loaded on just to, again, for the purpose of saving us time. So we go through to our devices and we would see this server. And so you can see that it already has Metabase installed on it. So I would click on Metabase and then you just have your URL for your server location right here. So what this does is it's not creating a vanity web page or something like that. This is specifically installed on your bare metal instance. So this allows you to share this IP address with just your own internal team. Think of it like an intranet setup where all of these applications, they just communicate directly with your server and back. They're not communicating to the outside internet. So that is a way to ensure that everything's locked down and secure. So I would click on this, have it pulled up over here, and you would go into your Metabase instance. You'd have to set up an account and do all of that kind of stuff and add all of your users. Once you've done this, you get an interface like this. All of the applications that we have for one-click install are very user-friendly, very easy to navigate. But a lot of folks just aren't aware of them. So that's why we're doing demos like this. So very easy to structure this. You can, create new data by getting a question. We have a couple databases loaded up, which I'll show you how to go through that process as well. But let's say we had CD leads we wanted to use. You just filter it. You can add various different parameters. You can pick a function or metric, which is based upon all of your column headings or any tags that you've added. Standard kind of database stuff, but it just makes it really easy. And then if I click visualize, it's going to build that database for me in the background. So let's go back to the home, and you see some of the ones that we've already set up. They're going to show on your homepage, like your own little easy to access dashboard or intranet tool. But let's go back down to the databases. So you see that we have the databases set up here. They're very easy to see. There's a number of ways you can connect it to a SQL database that you've loaded onto your infrastructure. So we did that here with a SQL database. The other thing that you could do is you can add your data in a very simple way. Like, this is not extremely complex to get to a point where you're getting the type of results that you want. You see here, we could just add a CSV file, and it can have a handful of columns, and those are clearly identified with column headers. And then you've pre-formatted all your information, so it's in the format that you want to utilize it. You just drag and drop. It's that simple. And then once that happens, you come up over here and you have your databases, and then you can start to build out reports. Now, one of the things that I love about this is, so we have two data sets here that I want to show you in an example. We're going to go through like some credit card settlement stuff, some fraud detection stuff, and some CD leads for account holders who might be good potential customers for various CD products that you might be rolling out. But one of the things I love about this tool is you can use some of the back-end formulation and the AI that's connected to it very easily. So you just click on this little lightning bolt, and it mines your data, and it shows you some visuals that you might want to use. So you might not want to use any of these. These might not be useful to you, but it saves you time. Like, think about all the time that we've spent on the business side of technology, specifically in fintech, going through, manually building BI dashboards in various different tools. Like, in some cases, I've seen that take weeks and months. This can generate it with one click, and then it also uses that custom prompting to help you build a little bit more of a customized dashboard. So we go here and we go to CD leads. If I wanted to see the actual data table, if I wanted to, check for irregularities or make sure that it uploaded properly, I can do that. I can get the entire list right here. I can pop it out into a new screen if I need to, make edits on site. Very user-friendly. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the actual analytics here. So this gives you a list of all of the different analytics that it can put together for you based on those column headings and that structure. So let's take a look at credit card fraud first. So what we did was we created a simple formula using all of the prompt engines here to say, like, okay, this profile of a transaction might flag for fraud. Many of your institutions are going to be doing that right now. Built the entire tool out of this, and then you always have the option to add the data table at the bottom. I like to do that because I like to be able to sort it and analyze it based on this information. Use this to kind of guide your prioritization as to where you should focus your attention for the day. But then you have easy way to download it and export it, so it can be actionable, usable, shared with other teams without necessarily having access to this dashboard. So we'll go back to the analytics list again. I really like this one too. So this would be like from the perspective of a local credit union. If you were looking at your customer set and you're saying, all right, we know that people who would want to purchase a 25K CD product that we're about to promote and roll out some marketing around, we know that they're most likely to do that if they have at least. Okay, looks like we've got some questions coming in here. Let's see. Raquel, are you sending those to me? Okay, I see them now. All right. How do we know what infrastructure configuration is best for us? So, it's going to vary from one client to the next. And that's why you saw it briefly when I had the website pulled up. That's why we organize things around an industry vertical. And then we've broken out the configuration into various tiers. There is some overlap from one vertical to the next as to the types of tiers and what constitutes tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 recommendations. But our goal was to get you only a few clicks away from the solution, even if you're not an infrastructure expert. We presume that everyone who is looking for the infrastructure knows their business, their applications, their data sets very well, and that typically seems to be the case. But we wanted to make it just very easy for you to understand the type of server or the type of cluster of servers that you would need based on the use case. So the key things to remember would be this. Tier 1 is typically what we recommend, especially for enterprise companies, as a pre-production environment hosting platform. So think about that platform for tier 1 in that configuration of something that you could run, your dev environment on, your QA environment. If you have an advanced UAT, I worked with one of the big 4 accounting firms years ago, and they would do these UAT sessions at the end of every quarter and be like hundreds of people in a room. And so those folks would just be hammering it from the perspective of a live user with a bunch of different, user paths and user journeys that they were trying to check on before it went to production. Well, that would become very labor intensive in terms of workload for the servers that were hosting that environment. So tier 1 is really great for that because you're not dealing with public traffic. You're dealing with a contained group of users who are using it for specific activities, and you know that it's properly isolated and it's set up to accommodate that without having to accommodate all of the production traffic on the same cluster. So that would be tier 1. It's strong enough to host a production instance of something that would be more like smaller indie gamers with a smaller user base, or just very small scale applications with limited users, limited ingress, egress, and limited parameters on a moment-to-moment basis. So that's what I would say tier 1 is. Tier 2 is always going to be sort of the middle of that. Higher performance, capable of strong performance with production applications and data sets, but not the top of the stack in terms of high CPU count or GPU capability. So you're probably not going to be running a ton of AI tooling or things of that nature, but you can get a lot done with the tier 2 because you get some pretty high core counts and some great CPUs, and then you can always scale your RAM and your storage as needed for that tier. And then tier 3 is always going to be those use cases that have extremely high data sensitivity. All tiers have the same level of security and lockdown, but this might be tier 3 would be ones where maybe you have multiple applications connected to the same data set, and you need to make sure that they're all fully compliant. And then you have a high user count, you have a high ingress, egress volume, and all those types of things. Maybe you're using it specifically for data storage, and so your storage amount is going to be really high. And so that's how I would explain how you get from understanding your application and the usage of that application quickly to an infrastructure cluster and a configuration that works well for your business. All right, let's see, Raquel, what else we got here? Okay, so a couple questions it looks like coming in on, we're already on the cloud. How would we utilize our services? So there's a lot of different directions we can go with that. We can probably talk for half of a day on how you can pair structured regulatory compliance geared bare metal infrastructure with your cloud environments. So I'll give you a couple examples. So we have some clients that utilize our infrastructure specifically for some sort of compute instance. So it might be some sort of like an AI fueled knowledge base, for example, where they have one of the models installed on our architecture and it stays there. So it's not being used to train outside LLMs. It's contained on the bare metal server or the bare metal cluster. But then the data is coming from other places. So that tooling can connect to the data elsewhere, pull it in, and then evaluate it some way and show the result right to the users who are accessing the contained application without disrupting the data set or having to go back and forth a bunch of times on the data set. So that's one example. Another example is a lot of firms will use our architecture for, it'll be like their data archive platform. So our entire platform can be deployed for data archiving, data storage, data usage, and they still typically get really high capacity at a lower budget profile for storing that data and being able to access it regularly. And we also have like redundancy and backups and all of those types of things. So they might want to put some sort of advanced backup services and point it at our infrastructure. So I guess what I'm saying is you can host just your applications and keep your data in the cloud. You can host your data or your archive data on our infrastructure, and maybe your applications were built cloud native, and so you've deployed so many improvements and have expanded the code base of whatever your core set is on your cloud environment. And you just don't want to migrate that all to somewhere else. We can find a solution to work with you for sure. So lots of folks needing hybrid solutions, and we're used to accommodating those requests. Let's see what else we got. Oh, okay. So looks like we got a question on self-service. All right. So y'all saw something that I'm particularly excited about because I'm a huge user experience nerd. And so I got to show you a little bit of our client portal, which is referred to as MyVelocity, MyV for short. I love that tool. I think the way that it's structured, the way that it's built, is very intuitive. Allows you to navigate all of your devices and all of the associated configurations with those devices. So like you can go in and within a couple clicks, you can see the entire matrix of components that are compatible with your devices. You can make quick and easy upgrades to those devices. So if you wanted to increase the RAM, increase the storage, you see all the compatible cards that we have in stock at that location. And then within a click of a button, you see the cost difference. Back to that cost predictability and transparency that we believe gives us an advantage over some of our competitors and certainly the hyperscalers, where you can go in there and see, all right, oh, it's $80 a month more for me to change the RAM or the storage capacity on this server. You click the button, it lets you know that the NOC team is going to reach out to you with scheduling that's convenient for you and your users. So you get to select the downtime. They pull it offline, they make the hardware changes and the upgrades, and then they refresh it and turn it back on, and you're ready to roll. So it's a very, very easy process. We pride ourselves in having a portal that has everything available for self-service for an infrastructure expert. So if you're a CTO who has been managing all of the various different environments that your application and data lives on for a good while, then you're going to be very comfortable in the portal because you can do everything. You can add managed services, you can change components out, you can add to your cluster. You're a couple clicks away from being able to add additional servers within the portal there. And so it's very easy to do for that. But then also, business users can be onboarded into the tool, and we can do some little training for you. But it's also very intuitive for business users. Things are color coded. Things are very clearly labeled and explained. We use a lot of modal structure, which is just like a fancy way of saying a pop out, so that you know exactly the change that you're making and the edits that you're making. So it eliminates a lot of the chances for like making an accidental change without you realizing that you're doing it. We also have chat function right there, and the chats are human monitored, just so you know. Like we have people watching the chats and responding to the chats constantly, and you're always one click away from being able to reach us by phone as well, or schedule an appointment with someone from our network operations center who can help you through some complexity that you might need assistance with. So the tool is very user-friendly, but it also gives you quick access to our team of really talented human beings that can jump in and help you at any time. So, and feel free to continue to submit those questions. If we're seems like we're up on time right now, but I can certainly respond to those ongoing, or if you want to connect with us, happy to schedule a one-on-one appointment to discuss things even further. Appreciate y'all being here.